Hello there, all you gravediggers. Welcome to the Graveyard Shift. My name is Alex.
My name is Avery.
We're just going to disclose right now that our names are fake for our own little reasons to protect ourselves.
Every name in these experiences are fake as well.
So, on to our past before we get to our main event.
Absolutely. Would you like to begin, Alex?
Definitely. For me, my experiences go back since I was young. Even just a story of a spirit of in my house. I want to say it. I talked about it on our last take of this, but it's not really my experience. So, why should I say? My first experience I could remember is when I was young. I was in my grandma's room and I stared out into the hallway. All of a sudden, there was this big dark mass. It it stayed there for a second, and as I stared at it, I just got angrier. And the more I look back, in all honesty, I think even a little bit of sadness, but more anger than anything. And all I wanted to do was scream at it. Suddenly, it went down the hall and disappeared. And sometime after that, I started having nightmares. And people could say, oh, you're young, just your imagination going wild. I'm pretty sure nightmares every night from like 4 to 7. I'm pretty sure that isn't just imagination. And I had experiences after that, like radios turning on, thinking I'd been hearing footsteps, but nothing big really. Now for you, Avery.
My experiences started when I was young. There was experiences before I was born that my parents would tell me about, and I talked about those on our last take too, but as Alex said, those weren't my experiences, so why should I talk about it? The experience I'm actually going to talk about this time around is around 6th grade, before I met him. And I didn't talk about this on the last take, but I feel like this is a better place for me to start. I was laying in my bed, and this was around the time that I moved to the bottom bunk after my sister had left for college. And I faced my door, but my door was broken, so I couldn't close it all the way. And I had it open just a little bit, and I remember hearing footsteps clear as day because those floorboards were squeaky, and I remember just hearing the thumping. And I remember looking at my door a little bit, just moving slightly over my bed, and I saw this dark mass just there. It went away after a little bit, but I felt so sad and I felt so depressed, and I just wanted to help, but I couldn't. I just went under my covers and I had nothing else. I went to sleep after that. I thought this maybe was a bad dream. But that's where I'll end with that. That's where I'll end with my past.
There's something I want to add about my earliest experience. The thing I want to add about it is actually quite a bit funny to me looking back at it. It came out of a room. The room it was my father's room. No, the winter before that, my father died. And eventually that room became my room. And in all honesty, it feels like the safest room in my house, and almost every single one of my friends who I bring up there agrees with me.
Myself included, I would like to add, every time I even get to about the fourth or fifth step of going to the upstairs, the air gets heavy and it feels like something darker and angrier just comes around me. I start to get a headache until I walk into Alex's room.
Shall we jump right onto...
I think first we should go through some experiences in the basement before he appeared.
Trying to remember if I had anything before he appeared.
Then I guess I'll start. I only have one that I'm going to talk about on this podcast due to the fact that the others are a bit personal and I would much rather not talk about them or disclose them online. We had both, well, I had started going to a church in our town, and I had been going there ever since the second grade. And I had started going to a youth group there. Took place at about 6 o'clock at night, 6, 7.
It would start at 7, but everyone got there at 6.
Started at 7 o'clock. I usually did not leave until about 1 o'clock in the morning. It ended at 11 or 10, around those times when the youth group was actually good. But I had my own ride home, and my own ride home usually wasn't ready until about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. But we go into the basement there, and there's this room. It's called the youth room, and it had just been redone to look like a little cafe restaurant type thing.
I was thinking it was that room, because you did refer to that room as the youth room, but I didn't know it as that because I came after it was remodeled.
And there's a radio in that room. It's in this little closet type thing that we're not allowed to go in until after everyone leaves, because the people that are allowed in there aren't supposed to go in if we're not one of the leaders. But we had gotten permission and we changed the radio station. We turned it to a country station because my two friends, I will refer to them as Steven and Colin. At the time I was dating Colin. And so we were just listening to country music and this beautiful song came on, the song that I loved, and Colin started singing it to me. But almost all the lights were off except for that one that was near us. And I had gotten this angry feeling, and I just wanted to punch the wall, and I wanted to just get my frustrations out. I just wanted to get that sadness and that anger and the frustration out on whatever I could. So I did. I started punching the wall, and I started punching the couches that are lined up against the walls. And my friend, what was his name? Steven. He started punching the walls as well, and I was like, Steven, what's wrong? And he said, I can't help it. I need to get this out. I said, I understand how you feel. I can't help it either. And I was just looking around. I was trying to calm down. I was breathing heavily, and I looked over at Colin, and he said, are you okay? And I looked at him, and I said, I don't know. Guys, we need to get upstairs. I can't handle this anymore. It's getting bad. I could see on Colin's face he was getting frustrated. angry, and he wanted out, and Steven wanted out too. We went upstairs and we laid in this long room. We laid on the pew and we just tried to calm down until we were ready to leave. It was what was an experience? Alex?
I can't say anything about the little basement area, but I can't tell if it's just how I am or if it was it affecting me. Because I believe there was something before the main events entity that we're gonna. I believe that there was something with me before that, and it affected me a lot. And whenever I was there at the church before I started believing, I could never focus. My mind, in fact, even after I started believing, even then my mind would always wander onto different things as we were supposed to be focusing on what we are doing there. And it would always be things that would upset me. It would always be the things that would get me angry, get me depressed, or even jealous. Because when I'm jealous, I'm also angry. So I guess I kind of already said that. And once that started calming down, I was downstairs with. In fact, my memory's a bit hazy as to what one we found out first.
Who took the picture?
Which one are we talking about? I don't. But I remember you told me about how the one room is because that was where we held the little Wednesday night activity.
Yes.
So you told me about that before it was moved over to the other room. Actually, no, we waited in the other room. That's why. And when you told me about that, I remember I would always try to be in the room while it was dark because I wanted to know what it was like, even though I already knew. I guess it was just because something different. I felt like it would have been a different experience, and also I am very much a guy at times, so my masculinity comes out, and I guess that was just me trying to show I have balls. Well, there's no other way to put it.
Could say you have ovaries. That shit takes some balls.
Ha ha. And after that, I don't know how, but I remember something about almost. I remember now. Alright.
Takes off the glasses, get serious.
No, I took it off for a different reason, which I'm about to get into. My eyesight is for shit. And I know it's like if I take off my glasses, it's very blurry, but at the same time I could almost see some things. Almost as if like an outline. I hope you remember that. I was about to call you Riley, so I forgot your fake name.
It's Avery.
I remember.
Thanks, Alex.
And there was something about it that made me want to. I think it was whenever I thought of it, because I knew it latched on to me whenever I tried staying in the room while it was dark. I knew right then and there it latched to me. I guess whenever I tried to think about it, I would always think of it as if it was smiling. And it wasn't helping. One night I came home, and this big, huge ball of anger just built up in me. And I just freaked out. And as I tried going upstairs into my room, I could have swore I saw it. And it was just how I thought it would have been. Especially with that gigantic smile. And that's not even the first thing we experienced from there.
It's first in the picture. Or
The picture is the other one.
we had a picture of that one too.
We didn't have a picture of Smiles.
Yeah, we did.
No, we didn't.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, we did. Because that's how you first introduced me to his name. Because you said,
I know what you're thinking of. I could have swore it was something else.
no, not the one in the window.
No, I mean, it wasn't a picture. We saw something. It was the road, the way the skid marks were.
Yes. Yes, it was.
We were at McDonald's with our church. Right there. Or was it the clouds?
No.
Wait,
It wasn't the clouds. It was on the ground.
that's right. I don't know why, but I thought I remembered something about the clouds.
That was no. Clouds was a different story that this isn't about.
Okay. And
And it was also down at the thingy down there on the wall. Do you remember?
no. I remember you were pushed around the same time as we were experiencing Smiles.
Yes.
Because Smiles put a stupid idea of beliefs in our head. And we were following that. And we were walking on ice. And she didn't slip. And I could tell it wasn't a slip. Because I know when it's a slip on ice and when it looks like someone was pushed. And you even say you felt the
There's
push.
hands on my back. Directly push. And the funny thing is, when we were walking down a little bit more, the ice started cracking about 2 steps in front of it.
It's great. But the other thing we experienced, we were in the little cafe room, and I always, huh?
Do we want to talk about that?
Well, that revolves around the first entity, which, if you haven't heard me say already, Smiles, or as we always say, Smiley. The main event of tonight. But there was another one, and I took a picture in right at the door frame to the other room where I would try to be in whenever it was dark. It looked like there was something there that was screaming.
Mouth wide open.
I don't remember if there was much with that.
No, not much. We had just hoped it wouldn't be another Smiley.
That's right. Am I the only one getting cold right now? I'm like mixed right now. It's like
This
In front-
side, this side is cold. Right here, super hot.
for me, it's the other way around.
Right here,
Yes.
right here. We're feeling on the same spot, right?
Mhm.
Right here, it just gets heavier.
And the coldness goes like right around my back to over here.
No, me too. All the way down my arm. Might be getting goosebumps. I am. That doesn't say something. I don't know what does. I know that you can't see us. But everything in here is true,
Besides our names.
besides our names. That's the only false part.
And I remember when Screamy, I think it was the night of Screamy that I experienced the freak out.
Which one?
My freak out that I just talked about.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when I freaked out, I forget what song. What song lyrics did go through my head, and I immediately took a break from that band, like right after.
Swimming with the Horizon?
No,
Disturbed?
I, I don't, I don't remember what band it was, but I remember it was a band that I would listen to mainly for getting my anger out too.
I remember that Smiley would switch with us.
That's right.
We would always feel dark, but sometimes darker. And we'd tell each other about it, and we'd know that it was him.
And
We'd see him.
I feel like it would switch whenever we were around each other. Like,
Every time we saw each other, it would switch.
mm-hmm.
And it's just as it seemed.
Because I mean, we even had school at the same time, so it could have easily swapped with us while we were there. Like, it could have just been a pass in the hall, but it saw its chance and it took it. Because it would be like some nights out of the week, you would talk about it. You would tell me your experiences. Next thing I know,
You'd be having nightmares.
yes, I would be waking up and I would know something's at the other end of the room because at this time, I refused to go upstairs. I didn't care that was a bed. A couch was my bed because at the time, couches were the most comfortable thing on the earth. And my living room is quite big. In fact, that's the room we're recording in now.
Quite big, but the less echoey.
And right where the couch would be, I would always feel something watching me from the other end. And you had nightmares too.
They were more sleep paralysis, though.
True, that's right.
After Smiley, I started going through sleep paralysis, something I had never gone through. I have only gone through it twice.
I remember someone else who had a problem.
Who?
Ethan. Let's call him Ethan.
Ethan, however, I don't think we're going to include in this due to the fact that he has had major honesty problems, and we do not know if he was 100% telling the truth.
You could tell when he told me about his sleep paralysis problems. It did seem very real. The way he talked about it, the way.
It's possible. He never told me about it. I just know my experiences with sleep paralysis because it was the same thing both nights. He would get on top of me,
That's exactly.
hold my neck,
That's exactly what Ethan said.
and I would have these bright eyes. They would change color.
One red,
Through night.
one yellow.
Yes.
When I thought I saw Captain Smiles,
Captain's.
I say that sometimes.
Aye, aye, Captain.
I swore that was what it was. In fact, I remember this song now because it goes right inside with that. The lyrics, my eyes are red and gold, hair standing straight up. From Slipknot's Wait and Bleed.
Smiles. Smiley. Captain Smile. Weirdo. Freak. Annoying.
Depression causer.
Absolutely, we didn't talk about that yet. Me and Alex had both had problems with depression and self-harm. It was quite bad. Every time he was around and we knew that he was, and we'd have nightmares and we'd wake up and sweating. He would just pull us further and further into it. Into his games, into his sociopathic ways, they'd say. He got happy knowing we were
Fed
lost.
off it.
He did feed off it.
One of the last things I could remember, at least on terms of experiences that we know was it, because I'm not comfortable with saying him, was winter retreat.
That's when it got weaker.
That was exactly when it got weaker. But here's the thing.
Push to the background.
They didn't know I was affected by it. They only knew you were. That's why I honestly think that's why it's still with me. At least I think it is.
It's not strong enough. Push to the background. Just watching.
In fact, I want to talk about an experience I had recently. In fact, I'm connecting dots now as I speak about it. Well, think about it. I have fucking terrible sleeping problems. And mainly because surgery, and I have built up energy that I can't use because I wasn't able to walk. Well, I am now, but that's not relevant. So I was up one night. Around 6 a.m., I felt a burning on my arm. When I looked at it, it was 2 long scratches and a short one. 3 total, if you can't do math. And when I saw it, there was a faint part of me that was freaked out by it. Another part of me that laughed. And one thing about when Smiley was around, I would always look weird. My head would be more down and I would be looking up and smiling. You would always tell me to stop that because I didn't know I was doing it.
It's creepy.
And I think it somewhat started up during that week again when I did it. I noticed it, so I tried cutting it out.
What'd you have?
Have cut it out or have gone back to doing that.
Cut it out. Thankfully. Anyway, do you have anything else to say about our main event?
Other than he's probably listening.
And that's why it's super hot right here, right in front of the microphone.
Maybe it's something else.
I guess we'll figure that out next time. Thank you for listening.
And continue digging those graves until next time we see you.
On the graveyard shift.
Good morning.